Alright, hello everyone, good evening, and welcome to Night City Sofa, a Cyberpunk RED talk show. I am Jess or Jess, a TTRPG player and Cyberpunk RED content creator. You can find me on Twitch, Blue Sky, or Patreon. If you're new to the channel or show, welcome in. If you are returning, thank you for your continued support by being here. Tonight, I am joined by fellow Shades of Scarlet cast member, Games End. Hello, buddy.
Hi. How's it
going? Joining the sofa for the first time, it is a pleasure to welcome James Hutt to the show. Hey, James.
Hey, everybody. I'm James Hutt. I design on Cyberpunk RED, and I work at our Talsorian Games. So I'm excited to be here. It's good to finally be on the sofa.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Before we get into the DLC, which is what is going to be the core of the show tonight, eventually when we get there, I want to talk a little bit about you because this is the first time you're here. So apart from working at our Talsorian Games, where you do, by the way, normally on Fridays have a Mayor's Desk show, which is a Cyberpunk RED Q&A on Fridays on YouTube on the Our Talsorian Games channel. So if you guys have any mechanical questions for James, go to that.
Mayor's Desk is great. Check it out.
Very handy. But you also write and release games for your own James Hutt Games company?
Yes. I run a company called James Hutt Games, where James Hutt makes games. And it's just a place for me to make my own stuff. I work at our Talsorian Games, doing what I love all day, and then I come home, and that love is not yet quenched. And so then I do what I love all evening, and then I go to sleep. And I wake up and I do it again, and I am having so much fun every day making stuff for everybody. So thanks to everybody listening to this who's read something I wrote. I really appreciate y'all.
Yeah,
anyway,
it sounds like the dream, my friend.
It's great content.
It is. It really is. What do you do when you live the dream? You don't go to sleep. You don't want to go to sleep. You want to keep staying up.
Right.
Horrible insomnia. Sleeping becomes meaningless. Anyway, so yes, James Hutt Games is where I do my sort of independent stuff. It's where I do a lot of some art house stuff too, but it's all focused on like new stuff that isn't directly cyberpunk, because sometimes I want to art something else. Couple of projects there. I'm sure I'll get questions on that, so I don't want to detail them all, but a good way to keep in touch is to go to jameshutgames.com. And there you'll be able to put in your email, then you join the newsletter, and once you get your newsletter, you get access to the James Hutt Games Vault, which has all of the free games that I put out.
That's the other thing. All the games you put out through there are free, which is so very kind of you.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say, we've mentioned the newsletter before when we played Glance and things like that. We've talked about it, so... Yeah.
It's just a fun way for me to put out things that aren't saleable. There will in the future be James Hutt games that are not free, but most of them right now are, and are just like you got to work out every once in a while as a designer, make something new so you can come back with a new take. And that's kind of what I do at James Hutt Games. So I stay in top form.
Nice.
And they are very unique games, from Glance, which is essentially a wallet-sized rule set for if you want to play TTRPG on the go. It's fantastic. Punch-In! Battle for the Burrows. Is it still What Happened in Sugarworm Village? Is that still the full proper title?
It is still What Happened in Sugarworm Village.
And then
but that one is that we are currently looking for publisher on that one, and I cannot talk about that right now.
Yeah. But great system. And then recently, Beetleworld, which uses an Uno deck to play.
Yes, Beetleworld is currently in a state where you can fully test the combat system. There's about 100 different moves that you can use to build your beetle, and a lot of it is like playing a tabletop role-playing game version of the original Paper Mario games. It's that level of crunch and pushing your luck that was in those. It's all my favorite things in a blender. This one I'm doing for me, and that one is the one we're doing like regular updates on to get it into fighting shape over the next couple of years. We are doing a really cool thing with the art on Beetleworld, where I have one fantastic artist, and I'm just giving them the time they need to illustrate the whole book.
That's amazing.
So the whole thing is going to look very, very put together. But right now, the core system is totally playable, and we're doing play tests, and you can. It's a good way for you to be able to get your name in a book. It's pretty easy to play test Beetleworld 2, just because all you need is an Uno deck and some polyhedral dice that I guarantee if you're listening to this, you have within 5 minutes of you. We could set a timer, and you could come back with a full set of polyhedral dice.
And if you need an Uno deck, gas stations, right? Isn't that what we were talking about?
Yes, you can get an Uno deck at a gas station.
Gas stations, grocery stores, they're everywhere.
There you go.
Yeah. But the gas station ones hit different.
Right.
All right.
So, with
I get kind of embarrassed talking about my own stuff sometimes.
No,
Sorry.
I love Beetleworld. So, and I do enjoy because I've been part of the newsletter. I think since it started.
You have. I know your number on the Google form.
Ooh, it would feel special. But I love seeing the art because you get glimpses. You've given us glimpses of your artwork, but also through the newsletter, there's a way you can get other behind the scenes stuff where you've shown just kind of your like side notes and drawings and how you create maps is really interesting to me. And do you want to go through just talk about that process a little bit?
Ooh, sure. Yeah, I can show you actually. Let me get a pair of scissors. I'll show you guys.
Okay.
Awesome.
This is exciting.
Right?
I know.
Okay. So you can get these square sheets of paper. This is from a hotel, but I'm just going to turn it into a square sheet of paper really quick. Now it's a big stack of square sheets of paper. And you take some dice. Hey, look at me. I don't know where my dice.
5-minute timer. Go.
Right.
I got a big handful. Don't worry. I'm good. And you,
That was much less than 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You roll them out. And you roll a certain number, and they make like a clump, right? Then you look at the edges of that clump. Maybe you putz it about. And we got that shape, all right? Then you blind draw the shape onto your square sheets of paper. And it makes... Oh, that is totally unreadable.
But there's a shape there.
There is a shape there, but that is why I have...
Oh, nice.
Nice. And it's a fancy Sharpie.
It is. There we go.
Now we can see it. Yeah.
Still not working?
No, we can see it in middle distance.
Okay, in the middle distance. And you chop it 4 ways so that roughly into 4 more squares. Then you repeat this a bunch of times, shuffle them all together, and then you connect them together into these smaller chunks, tape it all up, and what you'll end up with is a larger shape made of bits of smaller shapes, which makes stuff that the human brain thinks is more organic.
Right.
That's how you get like coastlines that look like, hey, this is a little bit too random to be just like free-handed out on a page. Like, try to draw the continent of Africa free-handed out on a page, and you won't get the level of detail of the coast. You won't have a detailed coastline. You'll have something that looks like a chicken nugget. But if you attempt to reassemble an Africa-like shape out of those squiggles that I just showed you how to make, and then tape it all together, you'll end up with something that looks more like Africa. Here's the cool part. When you arrange the squiggles, you can do so in an artistic manner, and then put in blank sheets where you can't make a connector and do little free-handed connector bits.
Okay.
Yep.
As like a blend of randomness and curation.
Nice.
And that's how I made what we are now building out as the Beetleworld map. Which is this huge archipelago of islands that I think is cool, and I hope will be a iconic. Like, I hope it ends up being as iconic as those like maps of Matanui from Bionicle,
Right.
which is also a huge part of my like childhood. Bionicles are super cool.
Right.
Ask anyone who had a Bionicle.
They know.
They know, and they know the island of Matanui is a very cool place with defined little bits that you feel like could be a part of an adventure.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And now you know how to make your own.
Yeah.
Yes. The Fossilized Violence map has an entirely different. The Fossilized Violence map is an entirely different way I constructed that. We'll get into. How about this? How about in a couple of months? Not telling you when. We don't know when. I can show you how the Fossilized Violence map came to be.
Yes.
Sounds like a plan.
I feel like I should make a note somewhere.
Hey, if you cash that in, you can cash that all the way to the bank.
Will do. Thank you for explaining that, because I do. I love seeing little behind the scenes and how you come up with these.
It's a really interesting process.
I literally have this on me. This is my go bag. Because might as well show you guys the final, what it looks like in physical.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
That is a lot larger than I was expecting it to be.
Hey, yeah, you gotta make it big.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, like, and when you see a picture, but it's taken at like the right distance, you don't really have like on a floor or something. Yeah. There's no scale to associate it with.
Here's one of the smaller islands.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. And just cut little pieces of paper and squiggles.
Yeah.
Yep.
The nice little edge there. Very organic. Anyway.
Yeah, it creates really cool coastline.
Mm-hmm.
I just carry it around with me. In case I need to add to it.
Yeah.
I like that edge runners have go bags, and you have a like game master or game creator go bag. Beetleworld go bag.
Yeah, I have a couple. I have hobby bags, so if I want to go do one of my hobbies, there's no like ADHD, I gotta put together a bag, and that takes 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, get it, leave, go have a fun time.
Nice.
Good life advice. Good life. Have a bag ready to go.
Right, at any time, but not just if shit hits the fan. Also,
Right.
if you want to go,
Also
play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, ADHD.
You gotta have your Magic the Gathering bag with all the stuff ready to go.
I used to.
Exactly.
Back when I played a lot of Magic, I had all my decks in my shoulder bag.
That's right.
Now with Beetleworld using an Uno deck, and I know Cyberpunk RED's DLC, ELO, the trading card game, TCG, uses a standard playing card deck. What is it that
Yes.
inspires you to find alternative mechanical ways to tell stories?
Okay, people like props. They think props are fun. If nobody wanted to play with toys, nobody would make them.
It's true.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
People like card. I mean, I come from the era of video games when it seemed like card mechanics were in every single Game Boy Advance game that came out. Kingdom Hearts card mechanic game came out, right? And then the oh gosh, man, I'm forgetful today. Never mind. I lost that train of thought. But needless to say, it felt like there was a lot of card games in video games for a while. And I've always liked putting card games in tabletop role-playing games in a way that isn't invasive or requires me to print cards. Because people like playing with cards, they like the randomness that cards provide, in that they're different than the randomness that a dice provides. Like replacement randomness, non-replacement randomness. The coolest thing is that if I draw 5 cards in a deck with no repeating cards, I always get 5 different choices. If I roll a die, I might get success, fail, moderate success, great success, fail. I'm still getting success here and failure. But cards let me explore a space that isn't you do it, you don't do it. Where, as a game designer, you end up designing around pass-fail a lot, and then damage ends up being like a core, victory point tracker almost.
Yep.
In a board game setting.
Yeah.
But stuff like so the best tabletop role-playing games don't just have damage be a way to win. They have incapacitation rules, and they have avoidance and evasion, and
fast talk.
those beat. Yeah. But also, I grapple them and I put handcuffs on them should end a fight.
Right.
Without you shooting them to death.
There's usually another way.
Should
there has to
but
be
yes.
another way to. There has to be another way to end a combat other than reducing the enemy's life points to 0 and sending them to the Shadow Realm.
Right.
Right. So ELO kind of is what if reducing somebody's hit points was the way you did every thing. What if I deliberately said this is a video gamey tabletop role-playing game about the negative industry practices in modern video games. That's a lot of what ELO's got going on. But I want to answer your original question before I go further on this diatribe. And that is, I'm always looking for new gameplay, right? I feel like, I don't know, I just want new stuff because I read a lot and I play a lot. And I see a lot of the same stuff because it works. No shade, it works, and it's cool. And sometimes making minor changes to things that already exist makes amazing new outcomes. And a lot of times I'm seeing that. I'm not seeing here is a completely novel board game concept. Catan is a completely novel board game concept.
Yeah.
There's not a game like Catan that comes out before Catan, to my knowledge. With
I'm
the
sure there's
hexes,
some
where they are.
precursors.
That
yeah.
part.
Yeah.
The hexes and the intersection of lines on a hex grid, the way they did it, that was completely novel.
Yeah.
And those novel elements, it's hard to do that. That's invention. That's not just remixing. That's, here's the new thing you don't know about yet. And I like shooting for those fences, and I do not hit those fences every time.
But you got to swing for the fences, or you won't ever hit them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
eventually, I will make something that no one has ever seen before that is good.
Yeah.
And that thing will then exist, and maybe somebody will make another version of it. Anyway, that's what I want when I do that.
Makes sense.
Okay.
And I feel like I've said me far too many times.
No.
As we're talking about personal design philosophies.
I've been
but
talking
I would be
about...
remiss not to mention that Cyberpunk is a team frickin' effort, and I could not do anything that I do without every one of my coworkers. But I do want to give a special shout out to Jay Gray, who runs the Cyberpunk RED line, and who I definitely couldn't do any of this without.
Jay's
anyway,
fantastic.
But
to be fair, we have been talking about James Hutt Games and not Aratel as a whole.
No, I know, but look, I would say 80% of what I'm designing at any given time is Cyberpunk. So that's still where the bulk of my brain is.
Fair enough. Last, I guess, personal question, and then we will move on to the DLC, I promise. You have a nickname of being the mayor of Balancetown.
Yes.
Where did that come from, and how long has that been a nickname?
That was in Core Red development. I made this area that was I made a little model city, of actually pretty nice, big model city. I made versions of that model city to test the different environments that you might put physically on a table.
That's so freaking
Because I
cool.
wanted Cyberpunk RED to work on a table. It would have to be a big table. But you look at the sniper ranges. The sniper ranges exist for if you're going on a big table, or you're playing in narrative space.
Yeah.
And so they had to work narratively, but I had to make sure that they worked in squares. And the only way to do that is to build a little city and see if it works.
Yeah.
And that little city had to stay up for the entirety of the pandemic, almost. And it got a little flag at one point. And that's where it comes from. It is the Balance Town.
The Balancetown. I love that. That's so cool. Okay.
Anyway.
So, let's... Speaking of your work with Cyberpunk RED, really quickly, Interface RED Volume 4 just released. You wrote and designed the new segment, Cyber Fist of Fury, Expanded Martial Arts.
Yes, I did.
If you guys haven't seen the interview that we had with Jay last week, I believe the VOD is still on Twitch. It will be on YouTube on Sunday. So you should go and check it out. We are not going to get into Interface RED tonight, because I swear we're going towards ELO. But I just wanted to say, James, that your writing of the lore... I love the lore in the DLCs. That is my big thing. I will...
I'm glad you like it.
I love games I'll skim the lore, but he jumps to the mechanics where I'll ignore the mechanics, and lore is always the first piece I grab onto.
The lore should introduce the mechanics. That's why it's...
It does so beautifully.
I intend, whenever I do a lore story at the front and a lore story at the back, I intend the one that happens at the front you read before, and then you read the mechanics, and then if there's a lore at the end, you read the lore at the end.
See, I usually read the middle bits and then go back.
You eat all the meat out of the sandwich. Then at the end, you're like, what's dessert? All this bread doing?
But I wanted to say that the Shaitan story was just so incredibly well written, and I felt like I was on that cargo ship as a fly on the wall, watching him create himself, and it just wonderful job. If you guys have not read the lore, go do so. I will hammer that. This should be Night City Sofa. Read the lore.
Read the lore
is the tagline.
Yeah. It's good. I rewrote that a bunch of times, and Jay Gray helped me figure out, like, I don't get this part. This part's bad. This part sucks. Cut those parts. Put it all back together. At one point, there were like 2 other lore reveals that just did not work. And then at another point, I realized I had misread an entire era of the lore. I had misread the last page of the implication in the last page of Shockwave, which is an epilogue, by the way, that tells you that Shaitan made it. I didn't know that epilogue had already existed, and this is spoilers. Can we do spoilers now?
Oh, yeah.
Can we do spoilers for the Fourth Corporate War?
Yeah. Spoiler warning.
Saburo Arasaka's kid, like his loyal son, commits seppuku by Soul Killer. And Shaitan is there. Shaitan has a new body at that point. That's post the fall of the towers. People are like, what happened to him? That's already in a book. That's not a reveal. It's what happened to him after that point we don't know about. We know he's alive.
Fair point.
So there's a lot of Cyberpunk fans that need to read the very last page of Firestorm / Shockwave, the 2-book combo.
Yeah.
Detailing the Fourth Corporate War.
And I know you don't want to stay on this topic, Jess.
It's
but
okay.
I do want to say, I had said to Jay last week that I really wanted to see your list of, like, all of the cut styles. Because I'm sure you went through, like, a massive list of, like, alright, how do we make a keto work? How do you...
Yeah. That was hard. It was hard because there's good stuff we didn't get. But there's also, like, I don't think there would be... We kind of got something from everywhere, and then we've got the ones that are important to, like, 80s Kung Fu movie as the theme. And like I said on a previous interview, I'm pretty sure I missed a lot of stuff in the Middle East. I'm pretty sure I missed a lot of stuff from India, etc. There are holes, but I kind of focused on the countries that are a little bit more, like, traditionally, by traditionally I mean like Asian, Western centric cyberpunk.
Right.
It was difficult to winnow them down, but I had to do it by theme. And then following that, I had to do it by, like, I wanted there to be stuff that talked to the other skills. And I tried to do, then I tried to get, like, okay, I need diversity of styles across countries.
I think you
kind of like how Street Fighter does it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I know.
There are cuts.
I said, like, no more.
Okay,
But I had a question. Somebody was wanting to know about martial arts, but Jay, when I talked to Jay, he said that he's more of an intuitive builder, so I feel like this is more for you. But are there any powerful synergies between martial arts styles, or art styles and other skills, that might not be immediately obvious on a casual read?
Yes. SOV system, anything that has the term critical injury in the requirements is an incredibly good pair with SOV system. I've been trying to tell people that SOV system is better than damage. SOV system inflicts crits, and you can keep doing it because you can't get the same crit twice in Red.
Right.
But SOV system keeps rolling different crits. So you can just take people apart with SOV system turn after turn. I think the only thing that can make that worse is if you had David Sandevistan and you're ripping 2 limbs off per turn.
Yeah.
But I like that one, and then that one, and I think there's one that one of the requirements is you cause a critical injury last turn, and that with sob system is really good, because once you critical injury, deal someone a critical injury, if you can knock them into a wound state on the next turn, if you're both in a wound state and you have a critical injury, you can kind of focus on other people in the combat. They aren't doing anything.
They're in rough shape.
They're kind of neutered.
Yeah.
And you don't need to kill every enemy. You just need to lower their fighting spirit. And to the point where they run away. I don't know very many people in Night City that if they're in a wound state and have a critical injury will not run.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Not worth it.
And if you're fighting those people, you're in a fundamentally different fight than you're fighting to the death versus fighting to, like, maim and fight over an objective. You should be always fighting over an objective in Cyberpunk, unless you're doing an assassination, in which case you should be only trying to kill the one guy you're supposed to and then leaving.
Yeah. And not
you're not
caught
paid to do mass murder.
Yeah.
Nope.
Why are you doing it for free?
Yeah. Why waste the bullets? Just one person.
Exactly. Kill the general guy and be like, any of you want to go next? The fight might be over before your friend gets the critical injury that's taking him out of doing his tech stuff for the next 2 weeks while he heals it.
Yeah.
It's more time... it's more efficient economically to do your job and leave.
Yeah.
Our characters in our actual play that we've been playing for 5 years kind of need to learn that sometimes, though.
That'd be nice.
Efficiency is not our strong suit.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Also, if you do that though, and then you go, okay, we finished the combat because we cleared the story objective. Then you get a bunch more time in your game session to move forward the story.
Right.
And you kind of get to play more Cyberpunk through good gameplay.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. And when groups click on that, they tend to go like, this isn't D&D anymore. This isn't D&D at all.
Right.
This doesn't feel like it even a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my spiel. I don't know how I got there. I have to be honest. This is happening at 7 o'clock at night. Any ounce of ADHD medicine I had this morning is gone now.
Okay, another question, but
Unfiltered
we're already 30 minutes in and I have it started on the DLC, so we're gonna start on the DLC.
Let's do it.
So our favorite Night City MMO just added magic to their game, which is something a lot of people have wanted for a very long time. This DLC builds on the other Elflines Online, or ELO for short DLCs, so be sure to pick up the base Elflines Online, the ELO expansion pack 1, and Dayrick, is that how you pronounce his name? Dayrick Sylar?
Dayrick Sylar.
Dayrick, okay. Guide to Elflines Online. And pick up the TCG one because it's awesome and you should anyway.
It's amazing.
All of those are available on our Talsorian Games' website, our talsoriangames.com. Or you can pick it up as a bundle if you want to go through all the bundles, or download them by year over on DriveThruRPG. So, Elflines Online.
And it's free.
It is, yeah. All
DLC.
free.
I wanted to mention.
So Elflines Online Magic Returns was written and designed by James. Is a whopping 42 pages, which I believe is the largest DLC ever released for Red.
Well, it's I mean,
Single?
but don't get on my case about it.
No, I was just I'm so used to, it's one of those things where DLCs come out and I'm used to maybe between 7 and 9 pages. Occasionally it gets up to 11 or 12, and I was like, okay. And I looked at this one, it was 42, and it's oh, I can't read this in an hour and then go back and pick through it. This is gonna take a moment.
Enjoy my small novella.
Right.
Great stuff, though. Great stuff, but yeah.
I have to address why it's that length.
Well, I think it's what did I write? 12 pages are just spells. 18 pages are the bestiary.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes, that's why it's that length. And of the spell pages, there are 20 new spells, I believe. No, wait,
I will trust you.
40,
I did not
there's
count.
40 new spells. There's 40 new spells because it's flip an ancient elfglish coin, and then you roll a d20.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
As a joke, we make you find a d20, even though this is Cyberpunk. Sometimes we like to have fun here. We also make you find a coin, which is really funny, and then find it. Never mind. I thought it was funny in my head. And because of that, there's 40 spells. So of those 40 spells, it was going to have, like, every spell takes up a smaller space, and it's going to be compact, right? But then I get this idea that I want everybody's spellstone to have 2 standard spells and 1 enhanced spell. So now I had to go through those 40 spells and make 40 new versions.
Yes.
For the enhanced version of spell. And then very quickly we have 20, 40, now there are 80 spell effects. And at that point I went, oh, this is too big.
That got
I
out
need
of
to stop. And then I needed people to shoot spells at.
Yeah.
And that would interact with spells. And we desperately needed a enemy faction in Elflines Online that was not the environment.
Mm.
Right.
Because this is incredibly nerdy, and I'm sorry.
Never be sorry for being nerdy.
The Elflines DLCs are sort of they're themed after like different parts of the storyline of Elflines Online, the meta storyline of Elflines Online, which is not told through like the joke is that there is a bunch of world lore, but you only get small bits of the world lore filtered through the players and what they tell you about it. Like, I hate that jungle. It has this quest that's so awful, and that's all we know about the quest is how awful it is. Or, like, this dungeon traps you inside, and if somebody, like, has to, has an urgent dentist appointment in the middle of the dungeon, you can get stuck there, going around and being like, guys, does anyone want to help us finish this dungeon? Like, what if you got trapped in an instance in World of Warcraft and couldn't leave? Anyway, so because of that, we had a lot of, like, story stuff that was the story of the world in the first couple of ELO DLCs, and now we need, like, a big event to happen to introduce one of those grand sweeping change DLCs, a la Cataclysm in World of Warcraft. And this is their big Incursions DLC, but of course this is also their incredibly bungled release. This DLC is canonically bad, and people dislike it.
So it's Pandaria.
Yeah, kind of. But I don't know. Cataclysm really hit me in the heart and made me stop playing WoW, because I liked those regions that they changed. Thank you.
Right.
They were like, they redecorated my house, is how I felt.
Yeah.
Without me asking.
And I will say, just on the topic of, like, lore and everything, I liked that Elflines didn't have magic. I liked that it was a fantasy game that didn't have magic, and then when I heard, like, Magic Returns was the title, I was like, oh, but I like my no magic fantasy. And then I sat there and I thought about it from a lore perspective, and you've added magic in such a great way that I don't feel it's, magic is now in the game. Well, it is, but it still has its place in the lore. Yeah. But then I remembered, like, reading, I think it's in Dayric's guide, where it was like, we had to wait 2 years for the expansion that released, like, the raid section. So I'm like, in world, this game's probably been out for 5 years without magic. Yeah, it makes sense they'd add magic at this point.
Yeah, this is the, like, giving up the ghost creative bankruptcy expansion. And that's why it's all AI themed.
Yes.
the antagonists and whatnot. I don't want to we don't need to read the literal horror poem in the back of this thing.
Okay.
You're gonna read it?
I wanted to.
Okay, you can do whatever you want. It's your show. But there are real lore reveals in this ELO expansion.
That was a huge one. Those last 2 lines? Are you kidding me?
All right. All right. Ask me again. I don't know where we are in terms of question stuff. So
we've jumped all over the place. Normally I try to go somewhere in order, and I've thrown that out the window.
Let's get back on your schedule because I want you to. I don't want to do this to you.
No, it's fine. Normally, do you end up talking about lore first? So this is kind of a nice segue. I wasn't quite at that crazy quote bit yet. So we have lore for this one comes from it's 1 page. It's Dayrick rambling, as he does, because he was at Playland by the Sea during an Elflines Park takeover cosplay event, where he broke his leg on the Port Treasure shipyard ride. And these are such small things, but I'm as, a creator, I'm all the ideas just came to mind, and I'm if your players want to go to mission on Playland by the Sea, do you know how many gigs you could create around this one sentence? All of them.
You would be very happy for a book that comes out in the future that has a ride-by-ride breakdown of that park.
Oh, that's gonna be super handy. Because I was
with an event calendar, and I think this has been released. Yo gangs live in the park.
Yes, piranhas do for sure. Because that was
the
in
names
the
of those yo gangs have been already been announced by Jay Gray.
Okay.
But a lot of those yo gangs sound really similar to yo gangs you might remember from a certain edition of Cyberpunk. It's not totally. It is technically non-timeline. But those ideas aren't non-canon. So there's a lot in future books that relate to Playline by the Sea that I don't want to spoil because I'm not the line manager of Cyberpunk RED, but I hope they know that they are loved.
Yeah,
that is exciting. I'm so excited.
They'll probably want to talk about that later.
Yes, when that releases, we'll talk all about that. But I was thinking, your people could, your players, your crew could be hired to protect a cosplayer, a big name cosplayer, or one of the media, or one of the streamers from the expansion pack 1. Maybe they could meet Granny Ed, who's doing a live stream, or take out Nyx and break their fingers. Because maybe they show up at the event. It's possible. You don't know who you'll run into.
True. People get real personal on Elflines. Elflines beef does spill out into the world.
Yes.
Has been known to happen. I mean, there's that there's an altercation at a card game tournament listed in the Elflines TCG lore. By the way, Elflines TCG is not just a fun side thing. It's also some extra microtransactions that you can do in Elflines.
Yeah,
and it's a gambling system for poker in just normal gameplay as well.
Yep.
And is compatible with most other casino games. Anyway, people sleep on it. And it's a pretty okay board game.
I'm a big fan
what it is.
I'm a big fan of card games, it's 2020 card game, huge fan of that. And so when the Elflines card game came out, I'm a big fan of. We've played that a few times on the show. Are we gonna get new cards for the spell stuff?
In world, probably yes.
You know that the spell, some of the cards relate to spells that were in the original video game lore.
Blessing of Arvish, I believe, is a card.
Yes, Blessing of Arvish is a card, and there's a Blessing of Arvish spell.
Yes.
Arvish spell. There's also alternate... another stupid thing is that where the magic is coming from...
Oh, the convoluted plot? Yeah.
Yes, the convoluted plot, the multi-dimensional time travel plot.
Yeah.
Where there's an evil Elfline dimension timeline where the hero doesn't rise and instead falls and becomes the dark hero, and the warlock becomes the master and convinces all of the elves to replace their Zazalith enzymes that their body produce with dark magic motes, which, in order to gain more magical power, and then it corrupts their world, and now they need to go find another world that's uncorrupted, as they screwed up their world. Which is meant to be an incredibly hackneyed writer trying to write a Greenpeace message.
Okay. Like Birdemic.
Yeah. But it was written way back. So if you look when the video game was supposed to... The original video game that this MMO is supposed to be based on... it's supposed to be... It must have been written somewhere in 2020. And what stuff is going on in the 2020 books? Well, they're having, like, the wasting plague and stuff.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, the paper rot in canon. And so there's, like, a very environmental message coming out of Japan in that era.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting, because, like... then the red happens, and it starts to look like prescient, right? Because the time of the red is very ecologically... I mean, stuff is fucked. Shit's fucked.
So fucked.
What happens
Pretty fucked.
if we don't take care of things.
And so people kind of look at it the way we might look at, like, early Godzilla stuff if there was ever to be a nuclear disaster.
Right.
Oh, that stuff about that previous nuclear disaster seems like it's about today now.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's, I don't remember where I am.
It's all good.
Help me.
Plot. Magic. Cards.
Plot.
Will we get new
So-
TCG cards for spells?
No, I'm unlikely to return to that trading card game.
I just want more cards.
In-game, okay.
I might make, like, a stupid version of Dungeon Dice Monsters, because that is the stupid version of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right.
If no one has figured that out yet. I might try to make Dungeon Dice Monsters, but Dungeon Dice Monsters was so fucked anyway. Maybe I don't need to. Maybe that can stay a James Hutt game.
Right.
Maybe it doesn't need to cross over.
We'll see. See how you feel.
Yeah, so the elves on the bad timeline try to invade the elves on our timeline, which is the no magic timeline. And then there's an elves on the good timeline, where both trees are still good. Actually, one tree is good and the other tree is bad on that one. And the other tree is the magic tree. And the reason why we're in the timeline without magic is we have the strength tree and not the magic tree. That's
Yes.
Arvish and Enthanox. In the dimension where Enthanox is still alive and Arvish isn't, the elves have magic because they're still connected to the enzymes within them that allow them to like interface with Spellstones, which are Zazalite, aka the elves are Zazaliths. That is the big lore reveal, is that the elves and the Zazaliths are the same thing, and they lost their ability to talk and converse when that one tree burned down.
That's really cool.
and evolved away from it. And the Dark Elves, which aren't on either tree timeline, they're on a separate alternate evil timeline.
Yes.
Doing their own thing.
Doing their own thing with, like, we don't want to be Zaslivs, we want to be magic itself. Anyway. And they're doing mean shit. And they're bad.
Right. Not good guys.
They're not good guys. You can tell because there's purple smoke coming out of their eyes.
Yeah.
And purple smoke has never come out of a good guy's eyes, ever.
No, not once.
Not once.
We are going slightly off topic. We're a little farther into ELO than I want to. I want to go back to like Meat Space lore real quick with Susan.
Go to Meat Space.
Susan and
Okay.
AKA Morlissa Eversoul.
That's right.
Where I know we talked about this pre-show, but I'm gonna ask it here anyway. Derek is still super clueless that they are one and the same person.
Yes. And I don't know if he'll ever figure it out.
Amazing. Susan's clearly a stalker.
But I don't know. I might want to. Yes. Susan is stalking him. Susan's his old coworker as well.
Yes.
It was kind of weird when his coworker ended up being his neighbor later after they lost that connection because they're no longer working at the same job. But isn't it cute?
Right?
But it's
And
fine.
it's so nice.
And she makes
that
good
she keeps
food.
helping him edit his leveling guides.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of a voice changer that she uses when playing Elflines Online to sound like Morlissa Eversoul. A little deeper voice.
So
And she was in the lore in this part of the story presented in this most recent DLC. She did break into his apartment because she was worried about him because she was following him and didn't know where he went.
Isn't that
after he got carted off by security? Yeah. She wasn't there in cosplay as her character. She was there in cosplay as someone else's character. So he both couldn't tell who she was as Susan or Morlissa.
Perfect. Love it.
fantastic.
Imagine having a disguised cosplay.
Just to keep track
Layers.
of yeah.
Anyway.
So she tries, and I know she tries to kiss him, and then he rejects her because he doesn't realize who she is. And she runs out, and he explains the situation. So clearly, she must know he doesn't realize, or does she think that he just doesn't like her meat space self?
So this is more of like she's so glad he's okay, and she makes a mistake, and her mistake was trying to kiss him because she was so happy that he wasn't hurt. So of course when he immediately, he's like, no, I have a girlfriend. I have an online girlfriend, in fact, and we're very much in love. Get out of my apartment. She both feels happy and sad, right?
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want it to be like she wouldn't want to get broke up with on ELO either. She's she's an MMO freak as well. Right? She spends a lot of time online. And he also spends a lot of time online.
Yep.
They spend more time online than offline.
I would watch this slice of life anime.
Yes. And I mean, if you've noticed, it's not the only like small anime pitch that I've made in Cyberpunk. What's that? There's that covert cougar gun.
Was it the covert cougar gun, or was it another one that was linked to an anime?
There's several.
There's been
the grabbing,
so many.
The Captain Snag'em thing.
Yes!
I cannot take credit for. That is Jay Gray's beautiful child. I cannot take credit for that at all.
Captain
And
Cuttlefish
I would buy
or
one
something.
of those.
Yeah.
Captain Cuttlefish. Yes. Captain Cuttlefish Ultra Snag'em.
Our
so
town
good.
merch of Captain Cuttlefish one? No.
We don't know what he looks like.
Yet.
We chose to get much cooler art from Dolan Pondsmith for that DLC. I'm talking about the is it called the Covert Cougar?
No,
I think
something,
it is.
isn't it something
that
Ocelot?
might have been my working
No,
title.
it's not. Ocelot's a pet.
No, it's not my friend the Ocelot.
No.
My
That's
friend
a
Ocelot's
Tamagotchi gun.
creepy.
Yeah, it's... I read these, so I reviewed it. We reviewed all of this, and you'd think I would know.
It was a
Yeah, not that
sleeper.
long ago,
Nobody
too.
talked about it.
I know. We talked about all of the things in here.
Enru Hello Cutie Hidden Cougar.
Yeah.
It is designed after the main weapon of the protagonist of the anime, Public Security Agency Sisters.
I talked about this one, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was talking about how I love all of the anime references that are in it, like the Monokatana that's like, what is it? Lone
The
Wolf
Solo
and Cub.
Wolf and Bot.
Yeah.
Lone Wolf and Bot, yeah. Solo Wolf and Bot. That is Jay Gray, not me.
But I just love all of the, whenever you guys reference, like, this is based on this TV series, I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, and if anyone is like, this isn't Cyberpunk, this isn't our Talsorian Games, you gotta look back into your history. They're making the Votoms game. They're making what is it? And they did the Dragon Ball Z game, and Mechton was licensed as a Gundam tabletop role-playing game in Japan only. I have no idea why I can't find an English translation to that, or at least a fan translation to that.
Huh.
I feel like
You'd think
every
you would.
shred of Gundam media is. I'm a big Gundam fan, by the way. Every shred of that media has to have been translated. It's weird I can't find it. There's a lot of really good games coming out of Japan, by the way. Really good tabletop role-playing games that have unique style and are not like American role-playing games, or European role-playing games, for that matter.
They take a very different approach on a lot of their stuff, and it's
I
really
recommend-
interesting to see.
I recommend looking into it. If anybody wants like what's the next thing I would be like, find an English translation of a really old Japanese role-playing game, and you'll be like, whoa.
And there's a
role-playing
lot of
game.
them, too.
Whoa, it's so different. That's right. They have a zine culture, which is awesome, but also has the same problem as like indie manga. Translation effort needs to be on point, or like I can't enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm going to Japan in like 2 weeks, and I have going to a game shop on my list. So
What? You're moving to Japan in 2 weeks?
Not moving, just visiting for a friend's wedding.
Okay, in which case I'm like, you got to start packing up that apartment.
No, this
Everything's packed except
Anyone
for that
is
back
packing.
wall. That back wall's the only
This-
thing not packed.
If I were moving to Japan, I would have just sold all this stuff.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I hear it's a little easier than people think it is.
Yeah, and it's fairly affordable too.
Especially if you don't want to live in Tokyo, I hear.
Yeah. Sorry, that is way off topic.
That's way
I
off
apologize,
topic. Yeah,
Jess.
I'm sitting here going, how do I tie this
Oh
back?
my-
And I'm like,
oh
I
my.
got nothing. There's no
Right.
Where
segue.
were we?
Lore.
Where were we?
So we covered the Susan
Right.
and Derek lore, which is great. So this quote that
His name is Derek Green, and his online handle, how she initially found out who he was,
do we know
is
that? Do we
that
know
his
his name is Derek Green?
happenstance. Yes, we do.
Where was that released? For my own knowledge. Cool. Okay. Good to know.
I think it's in the first one. In the first one, he says something like, and it was Derek Green, but everybody here knows me as Derek Sylar.
You know what? Yes, that rings a bell. Okay.
and Derek and Dayrick is just so close that he's just an idiot from the jump. That's your clue that his online handle sounds exactly like his name, but 10% cooler.
Yeah.
Right.
He's just like, he has not grown out of any of that. Anyway. But of course, it's also a massive insert for, like, I'm a huge World of Warcraft fan. I played for many years. Then I stopped playing, as many World of Warcraft fans will tell you. He's also a stand-in for, like, I feel like the average person playing an MMO.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And myself included. He has gamer brain.
Yeah. But this quote, I'm gonna call it a quote, on page 23 from Rastum, which is the name of the Warlock. It's only ever been called the Warlock until this DLC, I believe.
Yes. Actually, he's only ever been called the Warlock since so his first name is dropped in the anime that was, like, not fully canon. That was shoehorned into the second expansion. But that's in the core rulebook. This is really old lore. His last name being Rastum is new lore, and is only present in the game in this expansion, critically.
Okay. So I'm reading this creepy blurb here on this page about, the Warlock, who is this all-encompassing evil entity that we have fought in the game. And then at the end, there's this, like, I don't know, major twist. It felt shocking to me, where he's like, I don't want to keep playing, but I can't log out. Play Land by the Sea.
That's right.
Burn the server with me in it.
That's right.
Is this a real person who's been trapped in the game for, like, years?
This is a real person in real danger.
Yeah, okay.
And you will learn more about it in whenever we get around to that Night City book. No release dates, can't talk.
No.
Yeah.
When it comes out when it comes out, but I was like, okay, cool. Wait, what? And I had to stop reading.
Have you solved the anagram yet?
No. I am so bad at that. I'm like, there's got to be something with the name, but no, I have not.
You have not solved the anagram. Clearly, you have not solved the anagram yet. I see it.
I may be up till
James,
midnight
have
now.
you solved the
I
anagram yet?
have not, and now I'm worried.
Chat.
Will either
solve
of you
the,
like to attempt to solve the anagram
solve
on
the
camera?
anagram. No,
Oh,
not on
goodness, no.
camera. Oh my god, wait. I need the first name I don't have in front of me. Is it... No. Is it Rach Bartmoss? It's not,
Why
is
don't
it?
you reshuffle the letters in Rastum for me?
It's Bartmoss, yeah.
Yes, it is.
It is! Okay!
Race, yeah. Nice.
So there's at least a rabid at work, and the rabid is doing. Look, I'm sorry, I don't want to hear anything about lore spoilers for a sub game within a niche indie thing. You tuned into this, you deserve this. There is a rabid at work inside ELO right now, and it's making these dungeons, AI dungeons, essentially. And it is the reason, of course, one of the main story points here is that the Elflines Online Segatari figures this out, and they figure out that this is what this AI is doing, and then they go, oh wait, this means we don't need any of these game designers anymore. And they fire their design team.
Oh.
And such, we have AI-generated slop dungeons. The big addition of this
Yeah.
of this expansion. In addition to all of the magic that was developed by the game developers before they get axed, and then the slop dungeons go in here. So they make this beautiful thing, and then it gets finished by slop.
I love the like glitchy AI dungeons also, like just the thought of it.
Yeah, there's we did a reveal over on Emeron and Diamond Dust's stream, and they ran a really funny, like, glitchy dungeon as part of that reveal. That was like last week, and to generate hype.
Yeah.
And I feel like they did a really good job there. Anyway,
If you haven't
there's
checked it
so
out, I
much
think
room
it's
for
on
fun.
their YouTube respective channels.
Yes. There's so much fun to be had in making fun of AI generated stuff right now. And from a punk standpoint, it's where we should be punching.
For sure.
Yes.
It's the thing taking creativity, joy, and light out of the world. That's what punk is to me, is
Right.
fighting back. That's why this one is dedicated in the front to human artists. Anyway, that's
Appreciate
the.
that.
So there is, like, ELO is still punk
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a way. It's punk in that, like, you got to sound the alarm about some of this stuff, and we got to get punk about nerd culture too. Because now that we're mainstream, we get to be cool,
Right.
and that means we get to have posers trying to fuck with our shit.
Yeah.
That
True.
means we need to do some policing.
Yep.
Anyway,
So back to the world. It's not just a rab. There is an actual person that's trapped. Correct.
yes.
And
Yes.
then when you
Yes,
talk
there is.
about this-
and there you will learn more about that in that upcoming book,
So excited.
Right.
And then
where
this,
there is an entire Segatari themed section of that amusement park.
That's cool.
does it also include Segatar? Is it just for ELO, or does it also include the cooking simulator game?
Cooking simulator game?
You-
There's
it-
a cooking simulator game?
Yes,
Remind me?
There's a
Segatari
barbecue game.
Barbecue. Yeah, it
My
was like
character spent all of his money on buying that stupid
it was
game
like
that he was supposed to be
500
saving for rent.
EB. Yeah, instead of saving for rent. I think it
Wait.
came with corporate.
Wait, I remember this. No, shit. No, I didn't include it. I forgot.
It was like doesn't actually teach you how to barbecue, but
I don't know what I was thinking when I did that.
it was.
That's so fucking funny. Everybody.
You know,
Okay, yeah. Cyberpunk RED has been out for a couple of years. There's stuff that I don't remember writing.
Right.
that was
definitely did.
it's such a great random game. So then is the so back on topic though. Is the rabbit the I'm gonna mispronounce this so hard, I apologize. I want to say it's got to be a blend of miasma and phantasm, and putting it together does not compute in my brain.
All right, so go to the Miasmatasm.
Thank you.
Miasmatasm. Yes, it's a stupid name. Miasmaster. Miasmelf.
Miasmelf,
There's
yep.
a lot of really dumb names intentionally in Elflines. I want you guys to try to attempt to pronounce some Spellstone names before we're done here.
Okay,
For fun.
sure.
So I can hear you guys say stuff like Fizzavizacinax and stuff. Fizwavi Motez or stuff like that. Anyway, yes, there is a bit. There's a little flavor quote on the Miasmatasm thing. Why don't you read it out? It's fun. It relates to this.
Strange happenings related to broken light fixtures, excessive purchases of pay-per-view videos, and 4-year gold subscriptions to popular net-running magazines and related novelty calendars have been reported on the forums.
All right. So that's the hint for the anagram. The hint for the anagram is the popular net running magazines relating to Raish Bartmoss's Guide to the Net.
Yeah. Which I have a physical copy.
And it's not really Raish, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a rabid.
Yeah.
It's an AI that thinks it's Raish. And by the way, Raish, the reason the rabbit is in here is it tried to get in here. And it's because Raish Bartmoss was a huge Elflines fan and is a huge, huge nerd.
What was his handle?
Yes.
What was his elf's name?
No. He never played the MMO. He died before the MMO came out.
It's true.
So he was a big fan of, like,
The original, right?
Dragon Quest 1 and Dragon Quest 2. And then Dragon Quest Online comes out, and he dies before then. And what does his
Too bad.
net ghost want to do?
Of course.
I gotta play the new one. Then he goes there, and it's a whole virtual world, and he's an egomaniac. He's
Right.
still an egomaniac, even when
That hasn't changed.
no. That's part of his identity, and is programmed into each one of those rabbits. That's why the older they get, the more they become their people. And this one is like, I am master of this realm. I will make new things happen. Interestingly enough, Raish Bartmoss, still not a game designer.
Nope.
But maybe one of those MMO players who think they are on the forums. But also a shitty AI. I remember old WoW forums.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
does Blizzard make druids so bad? They must hate us.
As if the person who wrote that would be like, yeah, I could code a more balanced druid.
Yeah, no. I could do this easily. I read that several times on those forums.
Yeah. We are just over the hour mark at this point. How are you doing, James?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
How are y'all doing?
I'm great.
I'm here full time.
Okay.
I don't remember what that is.
The show can run anywhere between 1 and 2 hours, so I wasn't sure where we were. We're at with you.
I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good. I don't have anything to do.
Cool.
After this, I'm gonna go get some nachos, but that's about
Nice.
That sounds
Yeah,
fantastic.
because we kept Jay on a little bit later than we meant to, and we feel really,
Real
really bad about
that
it.
one.
So we're
it. I
trying to
didn't
be
hear
better.
any
about it.
like, man, they talked to me for too long. They're so mean. I didn't hear any of that. But you're good. So do you guys have a favorite spellstone?
Oh,
You built your own spellstones yet? Have you rolled spellstones?
I have not.
we
yet.
have. I was gonna have them roll
should roll
spellstones during this.
You should.
Oh,
Yeah.
We should do that.
We should do that.
Whenever you want to do it. You're
Oh.
running the show.
Sure. Let's quickly talk about how.
I sent Jesse as the alpha personality here, James. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, that's correct.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm looking for my D20 in this little dragon dice pouch, and it's like buried under every other dice. But I want to talk. So
dice over here. One of a D. Oh, I got a D20.
there we go.
And I got a two-sided dice.
Well, aren't
Nice.
super fancy.
Yeah, I have my coin.
So before we got into spells, I want to talk. We've talked about how, you know, the very convoluted plot of how miasmelves and magic came into the world. So, or why, I guess, they're here. Let's go with why. How they get there is through...
The why they're there? The why they're there is not important. They want... They're there, and they're invading, and they're bad.
Yes.
That is the level of storytelling here.
Yes.
And they are bad elves because they have gas coming out of their eyes, and they're purple.
That makes them bad guys.
And the reason
That
they
makes
and
them bad guys.
how they get into our world is through Miasmelf Breaches, which appear anywhere
right.
on the map with a high density of players. When it spawns, it fills the area with miasma and prevents players from logging out near the breach. And that's where the elves emerge. They are sophisticated, I put it in quotes, not in quotes in the DLC, but I put it in quotes, AI control threats that hunt players even in safe zones. So you cannot run to a city and be safe from these things. So I have a question, James. Can breaches also spawn in cities, or are they still limited to non-safe zones?
They can spawn anywhere.
They can spawn cities.
In fact, they often spawn in high-density areas like player cities.
Like the Autumn Palace, where
City.
most of player housing
In the
is.
Autumn Palace, they can spawn in there. And what people typically do, by the way, is they leave the area of effect and they log out because they're annoyed.
Yeah, that sounds right.
By the way, they don't trap you there. This isn't Sword Art Online. There's only like a couple of people getting Sword Art Online, and they're somewhere else. And we'll talk about that in the future.
Different book.
Don't worry about that.
Different book.
Different book. And so when a breach opens, you get as many Miasmelfs as there are equal to players in that area. But the longer it stays open, the more come through and the stronger they become until there's only like mini-boss and boss level elves that you have to take out.
You can get into a situation where it spawns in a city and then everybody leaves and it spawns a bunch of dudes. And nobody wants to do it. And the high-end guilds aren't online because it's a Tuesday and not a Friday. And then by the time it's a Friday, Stormwind is completely unplayable and lagging because there are so many enemy spawns. And at that point, back before sharding, World of Warcraft fans, where servers felt like places that were one place and not a bunch of mentions on top of each other. If there was a big raid on a city, other players knew that it was there. And if you're in an MMO with only 3 major cities, give or take.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Port Treasure and it's Autumn Palace. And other than
City
that...
of Elfhold, maybe for new players.
Yeah, but nobody wants to be there with the new players.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, who wants to hang out with them?
And in order to get into there, you have to go through that little, narrow...
No, that's the first main city.
Really annoying to get through. Elfhold.
Yeah.
Is near the lake.
Yeah, but that's not through a pass. There's you have to go. The first dungeon is through the mountains first, but you spawn near the first main city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to get to the rest of the game, you have to go through that one narrow area.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because of that one narrow area being a bunch of a PvP hotspot, people don't like to be on that entire end of the map. It's a huge gameplay problem for ELO that they have this funnel. And that funnel means that everyone on the other side of that cave is not a new player by the time you get through that cave. So it does its duty as a tutorial area, but it also takes up a huge chunk of the map in the process.
You lose the entire northern part.
I always thought that
and
once you got to Port Treasure, you could ship
back.
But no, I guess not.
I forget where the Port Treasure ships go.
I
think
goes
it's
across
detailed
to the other continent. Point of no return.
And I'm pretty sure the Miasma Island has a little town, the entry town there, and that's a third player hotspot for people doing that content. Just like Shatarath is a lot in WoW.
Yeah.
The era that I played. Sorry for all of this nerd.
You're good.
content.
You're good.
How dare nerds show up
nerdy.
to a program about tabletop games?
Yeah.
Right.
Last thing about the breaches is that to discourage PvP, any player that tries to gets turned into Miasmelf until they leave the area. And entering a breach does not count as leaving the area because there's a specific thing that says you do 0 damage to a core. So I assume you were still a Miasmelf.
Yeah. So this was to stop people from, and you also don't make any death tax money.
Correct. Normally you get 1,000 gold as half the fee.
Yeah. So ELO has a PvP always on type thing. This is the script flip in the, like, these are the PvE areas, and they didn't want them to make PvPvE, but they also didn't want to remove gameplay from dedicated PvPers. So if you're just PvPing for fun, you can PvP people trying to do Miasmelf Breaches and roleplay as a Miasmelf through this system. Anyway. But you're also a jerk.
Yeah.
Probably.
Was this something that came about in playtesting or because of your, like, MMO experience?
This is me trying to make a game that sounds like something that somebody thought was a good idea.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You did great.
Wouldn't it be cool if?
Nailed it.
That's where wouldn't it be cool if is the reason why that exists.
Yeah, just don't filter the bad ideas. Like, here's an idea, go.
Right, yeah. This happens this weird, interesting way because that was the intention of the game designers. Does that actually happen? I don't know. But I get to have this, like, secondary in-world game designer making bad decisions, and then I have to make good decisions about their bad decisions.
It's very
so there's a lot of roleplay going on here. There's layers. I'm planning a bunch of fun stuff in the future for, like, what happens to people that get laid off.
Nice.
I'm not planning on just dropping them and they never show up again. I might have laid off Segatara employees in weird places.
Nice.
That's exciting.
After getting laid off and working at...
They opened a barbecue food truck.
That's the industry I see, of course. Whenever there's layoffs, I see a bunch of people on LinkedIn finding new paths and joining Fortnite. You know, after working on this other studio, and it's like, okay, that's a big jump. That's a big difference. What's going on there?
Opened a food truck for barbecue.
Right.
Yeah.
There are food trucks coming. There's food truck content in the next 2 years, guaranteed.
This should be, yeah.
Okay, and then to close one of these breaches, of course, you go through, you find the tear, you go through, you do the horrible AI dungeon, destroy the core, which has 50 hit points, and save the section. And as long as you do a point of damage to the core, you get a Spellstone in return that you cannot trade, and you only get one once a week. So, Segatara's like, how do we make money off this? Oh yes, we will sell Spellstones. And that's what they do.
Yep. It's a gotcha pull system, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
To get if you want a spellstone that has 2 spells you like on it, that's actually pretty easy. But if you want a perfect spellstone with 3 spells you want on it, if you do the math, that probably costs 500 Eurobucks. But it's okay because players have more money.
Yeah.
So that's really nothing for a player character. But maybe it makes you think, am I a whale? Like, right? If you're a player character dropping $300 on an MMO,
right.
You start to think, am I the whale? Oh no, I've become the whale.
Question, because I know you can exchange real world money for in-game gold. It's like 180 is 100 gold. Can you reverse that?
No.
Okay.
Of course not.
I can't trade my gold to buy Spellstones at the same exchange rate if it was real money.
I'm sure there's an MMO that has tried to do that, but I don't know of any successful MMO that has tried to do that.
There's a Neil Patrick Stevens novel where he has, like, you can gold mine for real money that basically pays for your account and the things that you buy with your account. So
I know, because I played a lot of Guild Wars too, right? And I can, if I want to buy something from the shop, I can either spend money to get gold, or I could use my gold for the equivalent. Like obviously, it's not like I'm not going to ever get real money, but it's like, sure, if you farm up the equivalent of, 10 EB in gold, you can still get a spellstone.
Yeah. That's it's pretty easy to do your weekly to get your one chance,
Oh, but we're not that patient.
Yeah. When you make a character, you can buy a spellstone for that character, and that unlocks your ability to take the magic skill at character creation.
Yes.
But you do have to pay that amount every time you make an account if you want to use the magic skill at character creation. As an additional, on top of the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And as it is a game like RuneScape, where one player is expected to have multiple accounts.
Yeah.
It's it can get up there.
It can. I always picture that when you get your spellstone and it goes into your elf, there's like a beautiful cinematic, especially since this was before the devs got laid off. So that's nice to know. There's really epic cinematic, but all the dungeons are crap.
It's a VR game,
Yeah.
so it would be first person.
A first-person cinematic.
Yeah,
But a cool one.
but a cool one.
Yeah.
All the
Man, there are cool VR games now. There used to be
Yeah, there are.
VR games were crud.
Mhm.
Not so anymore. There are cool VR games now that aren't just Half-Life Alyx,
Yeah.
which
well,
is
I
also
remember
amazing, by the way.
Virtua Boy being a thing, and now you look at some of the games now and you're like, oh my god.
There is a mini golf game that feels like mini golf.
Yeah.
Walkabout Mini Golf VR, super good. Not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored.
I played a round of Walkabout Mini Golf VR, and it puts you with another player playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally played golf with a Scottish granddad whose son had got him the VR headset and loved
Nice.
nothing more than to play golf. And that was one of the best gaming experiences I have ever had. I felt like my granddad was there with me.
That's amazing.
Oh,
Would have paid money to do that again. Anyway, VR is very cool, and you feel really different about other players when they're in VR.
Yeah.
They feel more like people, which is why PvPers on Elflines Online are jerks.
extra jerky.
Because you're not just... It's extra jerky, right?
Right.
Especially if you're ganging up on new players and stuff. And I don't know.
Camping
It
at
feels
the
like
pass.
a PvP game like that, it would be more like visceral and mean.
Oh, for sure.
Question about magic, because it's a one time, like a 1x cost skill. What was the decision? Because you get 3 spells for when you choose magic. What was the decision behind having it be one skill as opposed to a different skill for each spell, like martial arts or language?
I wanted people to feel like the magic skill gave them option maneuvers, but I wanted them to feel like those maneuvers that they got were modular and were tied to their character, not to their skill.
Oh.
Okay.
You're casting magic from your spellstone, which is inside you, which is a Zazalif core. Like the other Zazalifs are crystal, like floating things.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, you're a walking crystal floating thing, with a slightly different form, and you're casting from yourself, versus you are interpreting the arcane knowledge of the universe however you want.
Right.
You are
Makes
reflecting
sense.
the energies of the universe through a prism in your chest that turns into 3 different kinds of light.
Okay.
Awesome.
It's a different magic system, but I didn't want to just do like And for the 7th time this year, here's Fireball and Cone of Cold.
No, I really liked it. I was just
wanted
curious.
I wanted to mash together a bunch of like magic concepts in that like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy style magic thing.
Yeah.
Zone, kind of.
No,
There are themes of like corruption and purity, and all throughout Elflines Online, and I wanted a system that could like keep in touch with those things.
you think you did a great job.
Anyway.
Yeah, integrate
So there,
with the game system.
it's not just like a just the spells you know, right? It's unique spells that would have been from this universe. Some of them are spells you know. I'm going to be very honest. There is a fireball. It is pretty good. You can do a dragon breath attack. It is really fun. But you can also like hit people with a slime punch and do a dragon arc attack, not just a breath. There's a lot of really cool support spells as well.
I was going to say one of the ones I really like though is Empower Herbs, the enhanced version, because it gives you essentially the equivalent of eating 3 sacred herbs at once. So like you could be critically low in a battle, cast this back to full health, and be like, let's go.
That's right. But you can take people out to 0 very, very easily, and if your armor is down, like your armor has been ablated down, that's still not that. You have less health in ELO than standard, if I remember correctly.
I thought it was the
typically
same.
It's different because you don't have access to linear frames.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
So it's different through omission, not through inclusion. And the enemies are, kind of tuned to that. That's why the enemies are different in ELO and why they're not broken if you bring them into Cyberpunk RED. The overworld.
Yes.
Speaking of which, we haven't even really touched on like all of there's a whole factional roster of Miasmelves.
Yeah.
In this expansion, which could have been a different DLC, by the way. This is
for sure,
3 DLCs stapled together.
Yeah, it is.
Well, and ELO is getting big enough to the size that it's basically almost its own standalone book at this point.
It's slowly over time. And
I've
I
bought
promise,
games with less pages.
Yeah, fair. And I promise it's not taking away from Cyberpunk stuff. People are always like, "Oh, this is the time you would have spent doing this." And it's like, no, this is the time where I couldn't do anything other than something I wanted to do.
Right.
And yes, I could make weapons in that time, and I have done that plenty of times. I mean, there's like, are there 40 DLCs?
Sure.
I think there's a lot.
There's a lot of DLCs.
It's 12 months a year.
Yeah.
This is year like 5.
Right.
I think so. Yeah.
We have room.
Yeah. I was gonna say 40 seemed somehow slightly low. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem low. It does seem low. Oh, we miss a month every once in a while.
It's rare. And when you guys do miss a month, it's usually because of different.
Not since I started covering it. You haven't missed a month.
Oh wow. That's all Jay Gray. Thank you, Jay Gray. Thank you, Jay Gray. Because if it was just me, I would have missed many, many months by
now. Okay, we've got like 30 minutes at least left. So magic. Let's You can enhance spells. You can enhance 1 spell only at a time. You get 3. Only 1 can be enhanced. You can either de-enhance it by consuming another spellstone, or enhancing a different spell, and that will just automatically de-enhance the other one. Your choice. Yeah. You do need to learn its new name. And then for evolution, if you really like a spell and you want to hold on to it, you can re-roll the other 2. And it will not pick the spell that you're holding on to. Can it re-roll one of the 2 that you're re-rolling?
Yeah, let's
can't
say
get doubles. You can't get doubles.
So, like, if I want to keep spell 1, I like spell 2, but I hate spell 3, so I'm going to re-roll. Is there a chance when I re-roll spell 2 and 3
that you'll end up
that
with the
2
exact
will
same...
come back?
No, you won't get one that you already had that's been re-rolled.
Okay.
They give you new stuff.
Okay.
So if you want
which
one
totally
but don't
goes
want
into
the other,
the gotcha form.
yeah, it's you need to hit a 40 times 40 odds.
Right.
All right. Well, let's.
real
So
bad.
I'll do that math.
Let's
I'll
see
do that
what we
math
get.
for y'all. Oh yeah, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Let's see what spells we get. I should have something to write
You gotta
this
hit a
down.
1 in 1600
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure I could.
to get your perfect spell done. Which, at sometime later, ask me the odds of getting a perfect charm in Monster Hunter because it's lower.
I'm
Oh
sure.
my goodness.
All right, I got tails 9, heads 1, and heads 18. What I get?
Oh, sorry. Tails 9. Elemental.
Tails 9.
Elemental aura.
Okay.
Heads what?
And what is elemental aura's spell count
Or
word?
AUR.
Okay. Heads 1.
Hide presence, so that's show. SHO.
Hide presence. Heads 18.
Heads 18. Walk Elfline. Elgo. I love that abbreviation. Elfline, go. Elgo.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So in order, in reverse alphabetical order,
Yes.
which is walk elfline is the first one, then
No, wouldn't it be
Hide
hide
presence.
presence?
no, hide presence is H, W is walk.
Yeah, but no, but doesn't it do the backwards of the
It's by
Elfish?
English spell name. It's by English spell name.
Oh, okay.
Hang on.
So
oh,
Elgo, show, or.
Oh, yeah. Which
You know,
almost makes sense.
you even have the example below, and it didn't make sense in my brain. So thank you for clarifying. All right, Games. What do you got?
I have
Somebody
11
yelling
heads.
loudly outside my apartment. Apologies.
Oh, I can't hear it, so you're good.
Oh, that's good. Might be slightly hateful. I hope that doesn't come over.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice neighborhood. I'm gonna turn on a light because I'm starting to go in dark.
You
perma.
are, yeah.
Right?
You're in shadow. Okay, Games. Heads 11 is repair moats, which is
Okay.
Moto.
Nice.
Yep.
9 heads.
Heads 9. Power Prism.
Good. Those are some good spells.
Which is Pri. Pri.
And 15 heads.
All heads, huh?
Yeah, apparently.
Steel Spell. Triss.
That's a crazy spellstone.
That
Those are 3 good spells that people want.
Yeah.
A lot of people re-roll for Steel Spellstone, I'm sure.
I'm
Oh,
sure.
I'm sure. So mine
It's just a
would
way
be-
to get 3 additional, get a spellstone with 5 in it instead of 3. If you
Mine
get hit
would
an
be-
attack.
Pre-Moto Triss, I believe.
Yeah, which one are you enhancing?
Triss.
All right, so Triss turns into Triss something, right?
Triss turns into Tristaga.
So it's
Primoto's
Primoto Tristaga.
Yeah,
Nice. That's a good
cool.
spellstone.
that would be a great spell.
You should write that down.
I have it right here in my notes already.
There you go. Ooh, okay. I should have written this better, and I didn't.
Yeah, that helpful example was added in last minute because we were like, this is the world's most complicated sentence about the ordering of nonsense words. We need an example that people can reverse engineer.
Appreciate that.
They really need it.
Alright, so my spellstone would be Moto no Draka.
Okay.
Because I got
Nice.
Repair
Chill.
Motes, Magic Ward, and Dragon Breath.
Yo,
Nice.
Magic Ward is great. And
Yeah.
Repair Motes is great for support, and then you've got an attack mode. That's cool.
I
You're
think
balanced.
I'd
Mine
enhance I think I'd enhance the wards if I recall correctly. Isn't that the shields that appear around you?
Magic Ward is for spells that only target you and don't target an area.
Ah, okay. Well, that's still good.
Right.
It is still
Oh,
good,
man.
especially for like a Vanguard fighter style concept or like solo PvPer.
Yeah. But which one do I enhance? The Dragon
and-
Breath or like?
Oh, I
Magic
feel like
Ward?
you gotta enhance the attack mode
Right?
or the ward. It depends. It depends if you're just gonna use the Dragon Breath. By the way, Dragon Breath shuts off magic when you get hit. So it's a hugely powerful PvP tool. Both the dragon spells are.
Huh.
It also works on NPCs, including bosses that are casting spells.
Nice.
Which would be super helpful.
It would be, especially when you look at these Miasmelf stat blocks.
Yeah.
The boss Miasmelfs are kind of crazy. I do want to make sure we get to talk at least about the Oracle, the Miasmelf Oracle. This is one of my favorite new game designs in Cyberpunk RED.
Let's do that now.
Hell yeah.
Go look at spells, by the way, guys. There's standard spells, there's enhanced spells. I will just say there is an HP cost before you cast the spell. Armor does nothing. It's like critical. Those 5 extra points of critical injury damage. You have to take that cost to cast magic. Then
Price.
yeah. Then there's a DV you have to beat, either based on range or I think if there's one specifically for the spell, it's in the spell description. So you roll your magic skill, which is magic plus intelligence. As long as you beat it, follow the spell line by line, and that's what it does.
Yep.
As for ranges, it's like the gun range chart, or the auto-fire shotgun, or no, the auto-fire chart, or the grenade shotgun chart. Depending on how your spell works, it's very similar to those.
There are like 8 brand new range tables
Yeah.
for use in these magic things that can totally be used in homebrew for literally anything you want.
Yep.
And are fun and are balanced. Well, some of them aren't balanced. You'll know the one.
Mostly balanced.
Mostly balanced. Ray is really, really good. Ray and Beam are very video gamey and designed to feel video gamey. It will feel video gamey at your table. And Storm and
Barrage?
Wave. Storm, Wave, and Barrage are all incredibly powerful and should be, handled with care.
Nah.
And they use
Or
slightly new
willy-nilly.
rules that enable like big AOE that like has different amount of pulses. Kind of like a consecrate effect. If we're talking WoW.
Yep.
There you go.
But we were going to talk Miasmelfs.
We are. You're still
Yes.
very much in shadow.
It pulled forward. I have no forelight in this place.
Fair enough. Okay.
So it made me look even darker.
It really leveled the darkness out, though.
Here, I got a fill light.
Ooh,
Does this-
nice edge
does this help?
lighting.
It feels like we're doing this by candlelight.
Yeah.
There we go.
An intimate evening.
Hello, everybody.
As we start talking about the Miasmelf Oracle.
Let's talk about the Miasmelf Oracle.
Our new
So the
NPR
Miasmelf
special.
Oracle forces you to read another DLC as part of its stat block. It makes you play with tarot crits.
It does.
And it throws tarot cards. And they do no damage, but they cause critical injuries. And if you get hit with multiples in a turn, you get a tarot crit instead.
Yep.
Which the tarot crits are crazy.
Yeah, tarot
yeah.
crits are like you're blind. Yeah, your stuff turns off.
Yeah.
Both of your legs get blown up.
You die.
It's yeah, I believe there's a death one.
There's a death one.
And getting to do multiple tarot crits per game session is like the big boss mechanic of that boss monster.
We've had tarot cards on in our actual play from the beginning. I think total we may have pulled 10 cards in the last 5 years.
At most. I don't think it's that
It's,
high.
Yeah.
I would say less than 5.
But have they been fun?
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well,
They're designed.
it
It's
depends.
always
rare.
worth it.
If you ask Wraith
Yeah,
about losing his
extremely rare.
$5,000 katana was fun, the character might say no. As players, we thought it was great. Very impactful story moment.
Right.
But have you guys had like an equal number of tarot crits on the party as dealt by the party?
I think we've dealt more than we've received, I want to say.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Balanced. The ultimate balance. If they can do it, you can do it.
Yes.
Yep.
Actually, I think if the enemy has actually got... I don't know if the enemy's ever gotten a terror crit on us. I think it's normally us on them. But if they did, I think they injured themselves, so it worked out real well.
Right, like the one
Yikes.
No.
that regain empathy one.
No, it was
regain
like,
empathy
it
one.
breaks your weapon. I think there's like a few
Yeah.
of those or something. Yeah.
There is it breaks your weapon, but you do a critical attack or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember at one point. That one's real strong.
Yeah.
That one is totally. I think I don't remember if I did that before or after Breath of the Wild came out, with that exact mechanic where if you hit somebody at the moment you break a weapon and you break a weapon on them, it does a critical. That's a good mechanic.
Good mechanic.
That's some
Yeah,
good
it
game
is.
design right there.
Yes, this Oracle. And they get a Rate of Fire 3 on those tarot cards that they get to...
They do get ROF 3. So those ROF 3 tarot cards, fans of Elflines will notice that there's another ROF 3 card throwing weapon.
Yes.
It's in the TCG
It is the
expansion.
TCG.
It's the
It's the Yu-Gi-Oh!
dual caster.
Dual-
joke.
Oh yeah.
The one that
And
fires cards.
this is the in-world version of what that is designed after in the in that game.
I hadn't put that together.
That's amazing. Yeah, I didn't either, but that's fantastic.
By
Kind
the
of
way,
like how Hearthstone stuff is also in WoW.
yeah.
Similar.
Okay. The Oracle looks terrifying, by the way, as somebody who, has played a lot of not a lot, but enough of this game. The Oracle looks terrifying.
I would murder you guys so fast. So I GM'd a campaign that was based solely around Elflines Online, and I created little missions, and they got as far as Black Mountain Pass, I think. They were headed to... No, they got to the Autumn Palace. You guys did get to the Autumn
We
Palace.
just barely made it to the
Barely. They
Nice.
decided to take on a dragon at rank 0. That was not a smart decision.
No.
Nice.
It was a lot
So
of fun.
you followed the leveling order
Yep.
as an intended. This is the Elflines Online mini campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always what it was intended as. Follow Derek's leveling order, and it's a really fun campaign.
Yeah.
And you start getting into the raids at the end. The GM starts having to go off script, kind of, and build out these large sessions. It's as much fun for the game master as it is for the player at that point.
No.
But yeah, no. The
Oh, yeah.
Miasmelf Oracle looks... Yeah, it would destroy us.
And it's the tarot thing is fired with archery, and it has a base 15. Like...
Right. It's gonna hit some people.
It's gonna,
I'm glad
especially
I
since I think
movement.
two of you did not put points in evasion whatsoever.
I had a really low evasion.
So in Elflines, critical injuries heal at the end of a battle,
Good to know.
Which is helpful.
Yeah.
which is why this isn't, BS.
Right.
It would be surviving
is
the
the
battle.
This is a boss that creates a lot of debuffs on your team, and the ads are what deals the damage in this type of fight. So pretty low damage when you consider, but you're getting heavily debuffed.
Right.
It's when you finally defeat an Oracle, but a bear wolf has wandered in, so it doesn't quite exit you out of combat, and you're like, God damn it!
The bear wolf would attack the Oracle, actually. The monsters
and
of
then
ELO
change.
are on your side versus and then they change. I think you can scare some of the animals away with animal handling.
Yeah.
My
Skill.
players,
But,
I don't think, ever
the
would have thought of
mechanics
that.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get maybe a lamp. Right here. Getting dark.
Well, we are actually close to the end of the second hour, so was there anything else you want to talk about before we sign off, I suppose? And lose you to complete darkness?
Yes, I am drifting deeper into the miasma as this goes on. I wanted to just, I guess I'll pimp my newsletter again.
Please do.
Sorry, I know I
No.
guys, but if I don't intentionally, I won't do it accidentally. JamesHuttGames.com. This is a great time to join the newsletter because I'll be dropping new stuff in the next couple of days, hopefully at the end of this weekend. I've set aside some time. I'm excited. And that would be for Beetleworld, but also I'm going to be debuting a sort of link to the James Hutt Games vault, which will have every James Hutt Games drop in it, except for stuff that's been taken off of playtest. That is currently looking for publishers because I can't just start releasing finished books for free that I'm intending to sell. Yeah. But that is a lot of games. I mean, I think we're talking about a couple of freeboard games, and a fully playable 100+ page draft of Beetleworld that I hope anyone whom that idea tickled would want to playtest, because we need some playtesting on that one. It's gone through 1 to 2 rounds of playtesting, but I'm not looking to put this thing out until it's perfect. So get in the ground floor,
grab an Uno deck,
get your name in the book,
sign up for a newsletter.
On my newsletter.
Play Beetleworld.
JamesHuttGames.com. There, I'm done.
Is there anything coming out or upcoming for our Talsorian Games? I was going to say, my note says for our Talsorian Games or James Hutt Games that you'd like to talk about, so... Newsletter.
Just talked about James Hutt Games, so I will say there's a game coming out pretty soon called Shadow Scar. You guys hear about Shadow Scar?
What's that?
It's Cody Pondsmith's dream game. It is the best game for if you want to play a ninja in a tabletop role-playing game. Because every other tabletop role-playing game that lets you play a ninja lets someone else play a samurai, and that ruins your ninja aesthetic. Anyway, So,
And a ninja
Everything
that can
I've
go
seen from
to
it's been
any
amazing.
universe that you want.
Yeah.
that's true. For that reason alone, Shadow Scar is a must pick up. If you're a fan of stealth gameplay, ninjas, you are a fan of the Naruto anime. There's also a awesome handcrafted world that spills out across several dimensions with its own meta narrative and a huge war of this mysterious ninja organization, the Shadow Scar Agency, facing down against Japanese demons, yokai, that are trying to take these worlds and win in a shadow war. Anyway, highly recommend it. You'll see more in the upcoming weeks about it, but get hyped for Shadow Scar.
For sure.
That's the what's happening at Artel. The Cyberpunk stuff, you're already here. You already know what's coming out for Cyberpunk. I don't need to get into that now, and I don't have any release dates, and it'll just piss you off if I don't tell you your release dates.
No, not at all.
Oh, Shadow Scar.
Shadow Scar.
Today we think about Shadow Scar, and eventually we think about fossilized violence.
I was going to say fossilized violence
Shadow Scar.
info news. No,
Yeah,
okay.
Shadow Scar. Fossilized violence is almost done in its art, and then we'll have to lay it out.
That's exciting.
Yes, there's a lot of progress being made for FV, and good stuff is happening. Don't
Go pick
worry.
up your little dinosaurs
They
to put
haven't
on your
found
maps.
us and smashed our ham radios yet. We are still broadcasting.
Perfect. Well, guys, I guess this would conclude this episode of Night City Sofa, so thank you all for joining us today. James, thank you so much for your time and your insight into everything. It has been so great to have you here.
It's been great. Thanks for having me on.
Anytime. Night City Sofa, thank you, audience, for being here and listening and hanging out. Night City Sofa will return next week, June 6th. But tomorrow you can catch Games and I over on Saves vs. Death. That's twitch.tv/Saves vs. Death. As we play our weekly Cyberpunk RED game, Shades of Scarlet. And until next time, James, stay frosty.
Have fun, everybody.